Hey guys, tonight we slip quietly into the world of Greek myth, where the stars are sharp as pinpricks and the dust on the road to Thebes sticks to your sandals. You wander down that path, hearing the faint sound of wings in the distance. Something is waiting ahead, half lion, half woman, and entirely bad news. The Sphinx. You probably won't survive this, but don't worry. The worst thing that happens tonight is you drift gently off to sleep. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And I'd love for you to post your location and local time in the comments, so I know just how far across the world these myths are traveling. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. The Sphinx is one of those mythological figures you already think you know. A big stone cat with a human head. Egypt pops into your mind first. But in Greek myth, she is something else, a riddle-obsessed menace. Parked outside the city of Thebes like some kind of toll booth you really wish you could avoid. Before she was terrorizing travelers, though, she had a family tree that makes your own awkward reunions look like polite tea parties. Her mother, according to many ancient poets, was Echidna, a creature politely described as half-woman, half-snake. Echidna was basically the ultimate monster mom. She and her partner Typhon birthed almost every nightmare in the Greek world. Hydra, their kid. Cerberus, also their kid. Chimera, guess who? The Sphinx was just one more in that lineup of horrors, and in some ways, she was actually one of the less grotesque ones. Sure, lion's body, bird's wings, and woman's face aren't exactly comforting, but compared to a three-headed dog that guards the underworld, you might call that a step up. But scholars argue about her exact genealogy. Some ancient sources claim she was the daughter of Orthrus, a two-headed dog, and Chimera herself. Others try to tidy up the family tree in different ways. Historians still argue whether this detail matters after all. Does the Sphinx need both a snake grandma and a fire-breathing aunt to be scary? Probably not. Still, Greek myths love to overlap monsters like a cosmic game of guess who's related. Picture her waiting on the dusty approach to Thebes, crouched low, tail twitching, eyes half closed like a house cat planning to ruin your day. The sun bakes the stone cliffs around you and cicadas whine in the background. Every traveler knew the drill. The Sphinx would stop you, ask her riddle. And if you got it wrong, well, dinner was served and you were the main course. It's strange, isn't it? Most Greek monsters fought with claws, teeth, or fire. The Sphinx fought with words. Her power was psychological, wrapped in a puzzle. You might call her the world's first terrible exam proctor. And here's the mainstream fact that grounds it. The Greeks really did love riddles. Symposiums, those drinking parties, where philosophers argued about everything, often included riddling games. The Sphinx wasn't just terrifying. She was also part of a culture that saw clever speech as life and death important. The specific riddle she asked, the one about walking on 4 legs, then 2, then 3, is so famous you can probably recite it in your sleep. What goes on for in the morning, 2 at noon, and 3 in the evening? You know the answer. A human being. Baby crawls, adult walks, old person leans on a cane. But imagine being a sweaty traveler on the road, confronted by a monster the size of a wagon. Feathers ruffling, eyes narrowing, and a voice like honey over knives asking you that question. It doesn't feel like a word puzzle then. There's also a quirky tidbit for you. Later traditions sometimes gave her multiple riddles, not just the one. Some versions have her ask about 2 sisters, one giving birth to the other, and the other giving birth back. Answer, day and night. It's almost as if storytellers got bored with her one-trick routine and started giving her riddle expansion pack. Of course, Thebes wasn't just dealing with a wordy cat monster. The city itself was in a mess. After all, Greek myths never let one disaster come alone. The kingship of Thebes was unstable, with Laius and Iocasta's family curse hanging over everything like storm clouds that refused to move. Into this tangle of dynastic trouble, the Sphinx slotted herself like a lock waiting for a key. She made it worse, suffocating trade and travel, turning the city into a fearful island. The debate about her origins doesn't end with her parents. Some scholars argue she's not even purely Greek. The image of a lion-bodied, Human-faced guardian was borrowed directly from Egypt, where sphinxes lined temple avenues. In Egypt, though, they were protectors, not murderers. They symbolized royal power, not crossword puzzle doom. Did the Greeks take that imagery and give it a sarcastic twist, turning a protective guardian into a psychopathic gatekeeper? Historians still argue whether this cultural borrowing was intentional satire, simple artistic inspiration, or a fusion of myths across Mediterranean trade routes. You feel the heat of the sun drop a little as you imagine walking closer. The Sphinx's wings rustle. Her gaze fixes on you, and you know she's about to open her mouth. But we'll pause right here while she inhales, because the real showdown belongs to the man fated to face her Oedipus. The Sphinx exhales, and the question tumbles out like a stone rolling downhill. By now you know the riddle, but imagine hearing it for the first time out on a lonely road, with a predator's eyes fixed on you. Travelers froze, stammered, guessed wrong, and were never seen again. The city of Thebes grew desperate, its gates silent, its markets empty, because no merchant or messenger wanted to gamble their life on a logic puzzle. You can almost see the citizens peeking nervously from behind walls, wondering if the monster will ever leave. Then comes Oedipus. He's not exactly the polished hero type, more of a runaway prince with anger issues. But myth loves sending flawed people to fix impossible problems. You trudge beside him, the dust of exile still clinging to his cloak. He has no idea that the city he's about to save is also the city he's fated to destroy. That's the cosmic joke here. Defeat the monster, win a kingdom, ruin your life in the fine print. When the Sphinx asks her famous riddle, Oedipus answers with crisp confidence. Man, the word lands like thunder. For a second, silence holds the air. The Sphinx blinks. She has never been beaten before. Some stories say she roared, others that she shrieked. And then she flung herself off a cliff in despair. No climactic sword fight, no chase scene, just the power of words undoing her. You almost feel sorry for her, as though a living crossword puzzle suddenly realized no one needed her anymore. Here's the mainstream fact. This story was so famous in the ancient world that dramatists like Sophocles built entire tragedies around it. The Oedipus Rex play became one of the pillars of classical theatre, studied for centuries as the gold standard of dramatic irony. Everyone in the audience knew Oedipus was doomed, but they still leaned forward, watching him stride toward the trap of his own destiny. The quirky tidbit is that later versions of the myth play with the Sphinx's ending. Some claim she didn't leap at all, Oedipus killed her with a sword, or the Thebans ambushed her while she sulked. A few even have her slink away, wounded pride heavier than broken wings. It's as if ancient storytellers couldn't resist remixing the finale. The way we keep rebooting superhero movies today, and scholars, they still argue whether the Sphinx in Greek myth was ever meant to be a literal creature at all. Maybe she was symbolic, representing the dangers of ignorance or the chaotic edge of civilization. Some argue she was a personification of plague or famine, because Thebes at the time of her myth was also remembered for hardship. A riddle that kills you if you fail. What better allegory for a disaster you don't understand? But in the myth, the result is straightforward. Oedipus wins. He becomes king of Thebes, marries Queen Jocasta, and sets in motion the world's most awkward family drama. The Sphinx, meanwhile, vanishes from the main stage. Her bones, if she left any, are never mentioned. Her legend lingers not in physical ruins, but in the word Sphinx itself, forever tied to puzzles, enigmas and unsolvable mysteries, and yet her shadow stretches long. Artists in later centuries couldn't resist painting or sculpting her. Sometimes she's perched elegantly on a column, wings tucked like folded parchment. Sometimes she's mid-pounce, claws out, hair flowing like river weed. You can trace her from ancient vase paintings to Renaissance allegories, to modern tattoos inked on people who really like riddles. One historical fact you might find fun: when archaeologists uncovered the great Sphinx statues in Egypt, they borrowed the Greek name, not the other way around. So, in a way, the murderous Greek version gave her name to the Egyptian guardian. Talk about stealing someone's identity on an epic scale. Meanwhile, the quirky detail? In some obscure corners of Greek commentary, the Sphinx wasn't even female. A few hints suggest storytellers toyed with male versions, though the overwhelming tradition kept her feminine. Maybe that's why she was often described as seductive and sinister at once, a mix. That Greek writers loved to exaggerate. And the debates continue. Historians still argue whether the Sphinx story was a late invention to spice up Oedipus's legend, or if she always haunted the Theban cycle from the beginning. Was she stitched in by poets who needed a dramatic obstacle? Or was she lurking in oral tales long before tragedy hit the stage? The truth is lost, like so many details in myth, left for us to puzzle over just as travelers once puzzled over her questions. As you trail away from the story, you can almost hear the echo of her riddle still bouncing in the dust. The legs to legs. 3 legs. It feels less like a question now and more like a gentle reminder that life itself changes shape. You crawl, you stride, you lean, and eventually you lie down again, letting the cycle finish. The torches of Thebes flicker behind you. Oedipus takes his crown. The Sphinx is gone. But her legacy, that blend of fear, intellect, and mystery lingers like the last notes of a song fading into the night. And now, as the road grows quiet and the wings of the Sphinx no longer rustle in the dark, you let yourself soften into stillness. The riddles have been answered, the city behind you safe again, and the monster's shadow drifts away like smoke dissolving into morning air. You don't need to solve anything else tonight, no puzzles, no crossroads, no heavy choices. Your breathing slows, each inhale longer, each exhale softer, like waves lapping against a calm shore. The story loosens its grip, and the voices of ancient poets fade into a hush. You picture the cliffs outside Thebes, but now they are bathed not in harsh sunlight, but in silver moonlight. The stones are cool, the cicadas have gone silent, and the road is empty except for you. Even the riddles themselves seem to stretch and dissolve into nothing more than gentle patterns, like clouds changing shape in a slow summer sky. You feel the ground beneath you steady, solid, holding you with quiet reassurance. The monstrous presence has lifted, leaving only the safety of night air and the comfort of knowing you have made it through the tale. Let your eyes grow heavier. Let your body sink deeper into the blankets that cradle you like soft earth. Every muscle unwinds, every thought finds its place, and all that remains is calm. The Sphinx has no more questions. The world has no more demands. You are safe. You are steady. And you can let go now, floating into the gentle rhythm of dreams, where even myths rest and smile in silence.